Hello, everyone, and welcome back into a brand new edition of PTV FC. We have been away for quite some time, but we are back recording videos, making content. Graham, we have some Champions League football to talk about. I see you got a background going on. How are you doing? And explain to me. Oh, man. Explain to me Chelsea with the X.
Um, so this is my background. I think it sums up the last almost back half of this season. Being a Chelsea fan is almost horrendous. Like, I think I'd go that far as to say it. There's a reason I'm not wearing a Chelsea jersey, which in Gladbach will do, I guess. I don't know. I'm. It's just depressing, to be honest. It's hard to watch games these days. There's just a lack of effort and a lack of intensity with the team. Maybe not a lack of effort. I do think the players are really trying their hardest, but we're just missing things. And our manager, Frank Lampard, well, the man's a legend in Chelsea terms, but he just managerial wise, he does not have the best repertoire. And just seeing the teams he puts out in the field and just seeing how we just can't manage to do it, anything productive on the offensive end, it really just hurts to see this Chelsea team. It's just not the club we are. It's not the club who we've been the last few decades. And it really makes me miss Abramovich to a very, very high degree. And it's been very sad for my entire family, too. It's like a death in the family almost. We got a whole family of Chelsea fans, and my parents refuse to even watch it now. So that about sums up my mood. This is a great representation of how I feel last few weeks.
And Chelsea, you're right. Chelsea in the year of 2023 has not found too much success, but one game they did happen to come against Borussia Dortmund. Of course, the one game that Chelsea won of the 15 that they played was in the Champions League in the second leg against Borussia Dortmund. Chelsea was home. They ended up winning 2-0, which put them ahead on aggregate 2-1. And so they were able to move on in the Champions League. Talk to us about that, Graham.
I mean, that was when I had some hope. We weren't doing so great in the Premier League, but that Champions League, that first game against Dortmund, we did look really, really good. I thought we looked good. We just couldn't find the back of the net there, and having Jordan Adeyemi get that goal toward the end of halftime there really, kind of put me down a little bit, but I was still high on the performance because I thought we were playing really good. We just couldn't produce the end product there. Now the second game against Borussia Dortmund, we came out very, very strong from the start to finish. And I thought we really looked hungry and we really looked like we wanted to win that game. Graham Potter was on the hot seat. It looked like the players were really playing for him. It looked like he was really trying to save his job there. You might have thought he'd done it after we won the game 2-0 with an absolute rocket from Raheem Sterling at the end of the first half, and then that penalty from Kai Havertz, which he missed, but Dortmund players ran into the box before he kicked it, so he got to retake it, and he buried it. Kai Havertz, well, he does have nerves of steel, man. He might not score every game. He might only score here and there, but when he scores, it matters. And he managed to put away Borussia Dortmund just like he used to in his Leverkusen days. So I was just, that gave me a little bit of hope coming out of that leg. And then the draw comes out, and we play Real Madrid in the Champions League for the third year in a row. I don't know what the heck's going on. I think UEFA is totally doing some sketchy stuff there, especially with the fact that no matter what our side was, we had Bayern Munich, Manchester City, Real Madrid, and Chelsea. And then the other side is AC Milan, Inter Milan, Napoli, and Benfica. Not very balanced. I think UEFA really screwed up this Champions League because I feel like the left side, everyone's predicting the winner is going to come out of that side, especially now that Napoli is lost. But we'll get into that a little bit later. But with Chelsea, that gave me hope, and they killed it since then. So there's not much hope left for us in this season, at least.
Yeah, so you answered my next question with talking about the next matchup against Real Madrid. But going back to the Chelsea versus Dortmund game, I was really excited. I had high hopes. With being up 1-0 in aggregate, I was really hoping that Dortmund could do something positive. And then, like you said, the Sterling goal right before the half was a bit deflating. I could only, listen to it in the car. I had to leave that game because I had to go travel somewhere. And then, gosh, hearing about the penalty, that was devastating with actually having a penalty be saved, and then Dortmund players with low IQ plays of running into the box before the kick was taken, meaning the penalty kick would be re-given, and then it would eventually find the back of the net. That was really tough. my takeaway from that was trying to stay positive in hopes that Borussia Dortmund would be able to do good in the Bundesliga. They wouldn't have to worry about the Champions League anymore. But I would much rather still be in the Champions League than doing good in the Bundesliga.
I think the biggest thing with that game, though, is that a very shocking underperformance from Jude Bellingham in that game. Very shocking underperformance. Enzo Fernandez really kept him under wraps. And, I think that just shows who the better youngster is going into it. I mean, Jude Bellingham is a world-class talent, and he is the future of the Premier League, I believe, no matter which team gets him, which won't be Liverpool. That's great. But, I think he underperformed that game, and I think that's part of the reason you guys lost. He really wasn't the Jude Bellingham we usually expect, and hopefully that's not like a scary sign that he's not going to be able to perform against these top-tier Premier League teams. But I don't think that's going to be the case. The kid's a world-class talent, and he's going to be amazing no matter where he ends up.
When Liverpool fans hear that Bellingham has a liver, no way. Those memes are so funny on social media. But nonetheless, you're right. Jude Bellingham did not play the best. I thought the team really didn't come out and play their best game. I mean, they had chances, but they just were outclassed and outplayed by Chelsea. But looking at the rest of the quarterfinals, Real Madrid and Chelsea, we know how that one went. It was funny because one of my friends just got into soccer as a Real Madrid fan. The other one is a Chelsea fan. So he loved talking smack when Chelsea beat Dortmund just to eventually go and lose to Real Madrid. But that was fun because I got both of them into soccer via FIFA, and now they pick these random teams that have nothing to do with the Bundesliga. But that's fine with me. That was Real Madrid is just a better team, and especially with the form, like you said, Chelsea was in, really not doing very much offensively or, as a team as a whole, I should say. Real Madrid handled Chelsea relatively easily, and so it sets up the semi. So now we have Man City versus Real Madrid for the third year in a row, like you said, and two teams from Milan, Inter Milan and AC Milan. And so I want to get your thoughts, but first I want to give a little bit of my thoughts. I know that City is known for folding in the Champions League. And so I know you're going to be banking on it because Real Madrid is a team that knocked out Chelsea. But if there's if there's a Man City team that's not going to fold, it's one with Erling Haaland. And so I think this City team very well could get over the hump. I think that we're going to see a Man City versus either Inter or Milan in the final. Not too sure about who's going to win that. Of those two teams, not too sure who's going to win there. So I want to get your thoughts on it. But I think as for City, Madrid's going to give up a much better fight than Bayern did. That's the team that City had beaten to then play Real Madrid. But Bayern kind of just kneeled over and died to City because they went down 3-0 in the very first game, and the second game was 1-1. But so I think Real Madrid will put up a better fight than Bayern did, but I still think that City will be able to pull it out.
I mean, looking at that Manchester City Bayern Munich game, which, I don't think that was a great representation of Bayern Munich at all.
The first game Mane wasn't playing, and also they had a new manager because
Tuchel comes in. Second game for him. But Bayern they looked really good going attacking, but Upamecano at the back, man, he pretty much was the sole determining factor in all three of those Man City goals. He was just giving the ball away left and right, and I feel bad for the guy, but man, he really almost was the sole determining factor in them going down so heavily into that first leg. And, that kind of killed it. The second leg didn't really have much validity to it because there's no way you're going to put 3 goals past the world-class team like Man City. It's just not possible. They're just too good on all aspects of the field. And even if you do put 3 goals past them, they're going to score a goal no matter what. They're almost guaranteed that. Erling Haaland's almost guaranteed a goal a game. So, I think that wasn't a great representation of Bayern. So that doesn't mean they're just going to steamroll Real Madrid now, because Real Madrid, they just win Champions Leagues. It's what they do. It's what they've always done. No matter who their manager is, no matter who they have on the team, it has just been ingrained into every single person who plays for that club that you are going to win the Champions League. No matter what, no matter how, they will win it. I mean, the one year they didn't win it, the team who beat them did. That was us. Oh, man, I love looking back. But, last year.
How long ago was that?
2 years ago.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was more. But
nah. Well, last year we played Real Madrid in the semifinal. A great, honestly, even though Chelsea ended up not winning, we went down 3-1 in the first leg, then brought it back. We were up 4-3 on aggregate in the second leg, and then Benzema scored in extra time to give them the win and everything. It was just a great leg overall. And then they went and totally outclassed Man City the next game, because Man City just, I don't know what it is. It's not Pep Guardiola, because Pep Guardiola has won Champions League with Barcelona. And something just doesn't tick with the club as a whole. They just don't have that winning culture around winning the Champions League like Real Madrid does. Real Madrid are going to go out there. They know how to handle the pressure of a game like this. They know that they don't have anything to lose. So what? They don't win the Champions League this year. Like, they're going to win it the next year. That's how they'll think, where Manchester City has all the pressure to win a Champions League. Erling Haaland was brought into City to win the Champions League. It was the sole reason. So you look at this team and you see Manchester City has all the pressure on them. And can they deal with that pressure? We haven't seen it before. They lost to a Chelsea team, which honestly wasn't even very good in the Champions League final. We were a team that was in 8th place after Frank Lampard was sacked, and we brought in Thomas Tuchel. And then we went on to win the Champions League against a Man City team who won the league that year. So I don't think that Manchester City has the right mindset. And looking at the other leg, Napoli, man, against AC Milan, overrated. So they were calling them the best football club in the world. I get it. They're very good. They have very good players, but their players aren't world class. Yes, they're working very well as a team, but you don't have Osimhen. They're not winning. That's not how it's going to go. Victor Osimhen is one of the best players in the world right now. He's going to go to a big club for big money soon. And, Napoli I just don't think that they were a team that the people thought they were. A lot of the pundits, a lot of top guys were putting them in the Champions League final. I didn't think that was a possibility. So now we're going to have a Milan team in the Champions League final now. Serie A is not farmers league anymore, as people say. But, I just don't see Manchester City pulling that out whatsoever.
Well, I'm happy you use the word pressure, because I think that's exactly what it is for City. I mean, so many times they've tried, so many times they've failed. Now it's to the point, it's like, can they even do it? Is this a possible thing for Manchester City? And to cross-reference sports here, because I feel like I do it all the time, this is kind of like the Toronto Maple Leafs in the NHL, right? Every year they have a fantastic regular season. They get to the playoffs, and what do? They lose in the first round. Manchester City, what do? They have a fantastic season in the Premier League where they win it or they finish top 3. They get to the Champions League, and then they eventually lose and don't win at all. So you're right. There's a lot of pressure, immense pressure on Manchester City to finally go out and get this done, get this dub. But, I mean, if there's a team that's going to do it, it's this one. This is the best Manchester City team we've seen in a long time.
That's probably one of the best football teams we've seen ever.
One of the best, right. Because, I mean, and just their striker alone, right? Erling Haaland has already surpassed Sergio Aguero's best season in his first season with Manchester City. I mean, this is unheard of numbers. So that's my thinking as to why I think that this could be the year that Manchester City finally does it. Now, as for Inter versus AC Milan, I'm a little bit biased because Inter was actually one of my first favorite football clubs. Before I liked Borussia Dortmund, I liked Inter because on FIFA 12, I used to play as them because they were so good. They had Samuel Eto'o and
the year they won the Champions League with Mourinho.
Yes, and they had the bald center back. I don't remember his name.
I can't recall.
It was like some Dutch name. But anyway, very good team on FIFA 12. Highly recommend playing with them if you're playing FIFA 12 still. Wow, was that 11 years ago? Jeez, we are old. Anyway, so I'm a little bit biased toward Inter versus AC Milan, but if you look in the table, they're only separated by 2 points in the Serie A table. Yes, no more Farmers League from Serie A. That's always a win. I'm half Italian, so to hear that is very good. But yeah, as for this matchup, I mean, I don't really know who's going to come out on top.
I mean, Inter and AC, you got AC Milan, man. Even though their striker is I don't even know, 100-year-old Olivier Giroud. I love that man to death, though, and he just scores. He's done this his entire career. Arsenal, what did he do? He just scored goals. Like, he's not flashy or anything. Actually, he is pretty flashy sometimes. You see the goals he scores. You gotta I feel like if I showed my kid in 10 years Olivier Giroud highlight reel, they'd probably think he's the best football player that ever lived. But the guy just scores goals. It's what he does. It's what he's always done throughout his entire career. He is not asked to do anything more by this AC Milan team other than to score goals. Now, that's what they ask him to do, and that's what he does. And then you have Rafael Leao, who is one of the best young talents in the world who Chelsea refused to sign because we wanted Mikhail Mudryk. And yeah, no, don't get me started. But yeah, AC Milan, I think, are a very, very good team. Now they're struggling in Serie A a little bit right now, but I think this is the Champions League. 2 games, you have 2 legs. That's it. This is not a league. This is not a whole season. How you're performing in the Champions League has almost nothing to do with how you're performing in the league. That's been shown time and time again. So I think Real Madrid hasn't been performing in La Liga at all. They're not. But you look at the Champions League, they're going to do what they always do in the Champions League because it has no correlation to each other. But Inter Milan is a very good team. They are very solid overall, holistically. But so is AC Milan, and I think AC Milan is the one who's going to come out on top of that matchup. And it's awesome to see like an inner city rivalry. They talk about like, oh, it's an all England final, so it has a little bit more of a aura around it. Like with Chelsea and Man City when we played, everyone was talking about, oh, it's an all England final. That has a little bit more of a rivalry there since you play each other consecutively throughout the season through different competitions. But this is a Milan Derby. This is a derby match in Milan, man. This is a huge, huge deal, and a guarantee that a Serie A and Milan team are going to make it into the final. So I think that just adds so much more to this game. It's one of the biggest rivalries in all of football, and to be able to put it on a Champions League, a chance to go to the Champions League final, I think the games are going to be crazy. They're going to be heated. I'm really looking forward to them.
Me too. And something else to note is that these two teams share a stadium.
Yeah,
so the
San
Siro is shared by both squads. I mean, oh man, I can't imagine how pumping and rocking that stadium is going to be when they play.
Now, I wonder how that will affect the team going in between legs, because you have the away leg and the home leg. It's very different. Chelsea played in the Bernabeu in Madrid, and then they go and play at Stamford Bridge. They're 2 completely different atmospheres. The Bernabeu's massive, and Stamford Bridge, while pretty big, is a little bit smaller compared to the Bernabeu. And you're in completely different countries. The weather's completely different. The grass is completely different. They're just not used to it, especially if you're not playing league football against them. Like if Chelsea were to play City, for instance, Chelsea will play at City a few times. Chelsea will play at City at least once that year, so they have a little bit of an acclimation to it. But when you go to the same stadium, that has a huge effect too, because there's probably going to be more away fans than usual who will be in those neutral spots. So yes, you have your away sections where only the away fans are allowed to sit, but you can buy tickets into the neutral section. I think that's going to have a big effect too. It's really almost a neutral playing ground, because they're going to cancel each other out because it's both of their home stadiums. That's the stadiums they're used to playing at home every single time. So you kind of lose that home and away legs feeling that advantage and disadvantage it can give you.
And I was going to say, yes, you do kind of lose that home and away leg, but what you gain is a game that's going to be more dictated by the players rather than the atmosphere, which is something that we usually do not see, right? I mean, oh gosh, Liverpool for the longest time had one of the best home atmospheres in all of football, and that obviously helped them, propel them, right? That will not be the case in these 2 legs, because, like you said, there's going to be more away fans than usual, and I think it's going to be more on the players themselves to go out and perform rather than the fans willing the players to do better.
Yeah, and I mean we've seen these games be played throughout the century, man. And you see these games, and that stadium's damn near burning down every time these 2 teams play each other. And just to have it be a Champions League semifinal with all the stakes on the line, these teams who have not performed well in Europe for a long time, honestly, looking to get back to the pinnacle of football, it's pretty awesome. It's going to be an amazing atmosphere, I think. And while you're losing that home field advantage, you're gaining an insane atmosphere set up for an insane game that I honestly couldn't be more happy. This was the dream to come out of this. That's the one good thing that came out of the draw is this game, I think. It's the one good thing.
And I agree. When is that game going to be played, Graham? Do you know if
that game, the first leg of the AC Milan Inter game will be played on May 10th at 3:00. And then Real Madrid and Man City played the day before that on May 9th, I think.
All right, so right during finals week. It's going to be rough to put it in the schedule, but I'm sure we'll be able to somehow. Anyway, that will do it for this episode of PTV FC. Depending on when we record next, we will have either another preview or more analysis of the games that we had talked about in this episode. For Graham Marshman, my name is Louie Pasculli. Thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next time.